Mateus Yumarnamto is an English teacher from Indonesia. He had been teaching English for more than 10 years before he decided to study at School of Education at IUB 2009. He also teaches Indonesian language and culture at Southeast Asian Studies. Is it here? At Indiana University. He's interested in language teacher education and professional development. He is currently writing this dissertation.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. I think it's already afternoon. This is part of my bigger research, part of my dissertation research, and I want to share some of the results of my research here. So the title is Life History, Critical Events, Professional Identity Formation of 5 Indonesian English Teachers. It is a narrative inquiry. So it is interesting that Retno have talked about teacher knowledge, about teacher cognitions, and here my research focus on teacher professional identity. So I draw a line that actually from teacher knowledge then teacher, professional teacher is actually in the process of making or in the process of claiming their professional identity. So this is what I'm doing right now. First, why narrative? So personally, I love stories. So narratives is a kind of building stories. I learn from other teachers, I learn from teachers, and especially here, I learn from the participants that they have rich stories that we can learn. And then, why it is also narrative? Because actually word knowledge, as we all have learned here, are socially constructed, and it is mediated by language, mediated by narrative. So knowledge, beliefs about something, it is always narrative. It is narratives or language that creates the world like we perceive it. So all the social concepts, all the concept of education, the concept of professionalism is also narrative. So that's why I'm focusing on narrative here. It is narrative that makes our life meaningful. So that's why I'm learning about life history. Our lives consist of events, right? Life history consists of events, and the events is becoming meaningful. So according to McAdams, actually, our life is making a kind of myth. We are here living this world, doing things, practicing our professions in order to make our life meaningful. And narratives also have pedagogical aspect. Narrative also have transformational aspects that we can learn. So this is my epistemological foundation for doing the research. So in investigating the narrative, the life history, I'm thinking about this. Why is it narrative inquiry? Because I found out that narrative is very powerful, and it is also a kind of legitimate way to create knowledge. So first of all, the way of creating knowledge is based, my narrative inquiry is based on Lewis' experience and reflections, where experience is a kind of something we experience, and then it can become our knowledge through reflections. And I also base my research on Habermas' truth validity claims. It is about truth, truthfulness, and rightness. So beliefs, teacher beliefs, for example, and teacher knowledge. Yeah, I do differentiate very clearly about that. But actually, every time we are doing a kind of speech act, we are claiming a certain degree of truth. So truths here, factual truth, objective truth, truthfulness is more subjective. I'm hungry right now. It is my claim of truthfulness because I am hungry because I ate very little sandwich today. That's my subjective truth. And rightness is the claim it is based on a certain norms. So beliefs, for example, beliefs is a kind of rightness. So usually teachers say plagiarism is bad. It is the claims of rightness. It is better for you not to plagiarize. There is no objective truth on that, but this is our belief because we have norm, we have standard that we use to claim that rightness. And then the third foundation is backed in dialectic enterprise. So all narratives, all speech, actually all utterances cannot exist in vacuum. It is a kind of response to previous utterances, to previous discourses. So all the narratives actually is a kind of continuing discourses. So these three foundations that makes me choose narrative as a legitimate way to claim the knowledge. And then actually many authors that write about narrative don't really distinguish between story and history. All narratives can be story, but history can not all history are narrative. So that's why I use history, life history, to highlight the aspect that history is language at work, that history charged with knowledge, it discovers, it drives toward facts. So I use the terms life history. And then critical events. Our life is a series of events, and narrative describes the events. Why an event is told, it serves to a major function actually, referential and also evaluative. A person tells an event to other person because usually it is important, at least for the person, for the speaker, for the narrator. But the narrator of course expects that the event is also important for the audience. An important event in our life marks our history, change our life trajectory, transform our perspective, taught lesson for our own life, and eventually can create new knowledge. So that's that. And then professional identity formation. So that knowledge explains about teacher knowledge, teacher cognitions, and professional teachers should have those knowledge, should have this kind of cognition. Into my research, professional identity, I see a professional identity in a kind of discourse, in narrative. So it is claim and reclaim. It is shaped and reshaped as it is always in the making. So we are, all of us teachers, always in the kind of claiming our professional identity. Critical events are related to our professions, related to our profession could influence our professional identity formation. So the critical events we already experience can influence certain types of professional identity claim we want, we want to show to the world. And for this presentation, for this paper, I focus on two reasons. I want to set the answer of the two research questions. What are the major critical events that have influenced the participant professional identity formation, and how could the critical events affect the participant professional identity formation? The participants, there were two sites actually. There are 5 participants. There were 2 sites in 2 college towns in the Midwest. So this is the first site, and the background of the participants. So I just, all the names there are pseudonyms, and I just make it alphabetical. So Alifa, Barata, Charita. Alifa is female, Barata male, Charita is female. And Alifa arrived in the US for her PhD in 2010. I have known the participant in 2013. Similarly with Charita, I also, oh, that's wrong, 2018. That's,
you're an old wise man.
So, the point is, I know Barata longer than the other. So, in the process of collecting data, this is also very important, because at least I already know Barata longer. I know him. I talk a lot with him. But with the 2 participants, I knew them when actually they are introduced by Barata. So before the interview, I have to know them first. So I did a kind of informal interview with the 2 first, so that I know them. The second site, this should be site 2. Diana and Indang, I know them when they arrived here in the US. So in fact, I did interview for other purposes before with the 2 participants. So I know the participant quite well. So this is the data collections. What I did is, this is the formal interview that I recorded. So I did it once for this analysis. How I analyze the data. So major data is the interview data that I transcribe. The first one, the purpose is to reconstruct the participant life history chronologically. Then I write down their history, their life history. So I did an episodic analysis. So divide their life history in episodes, and then I rewrite their story, their life history. The second procedure is a critical event analysis. So the purpose is to identify the critical events experienced by the participants. There are many events, and actually it is a kind of difficult to judge. This one is more important, this event is more important than that one. But I decided to select 2 critical events for each participant. So 2 the most important events that affect their professional identity formation. I also actually then try to identify the structure of the event and so on. But that's I will not present the structure here. The last step of data analysis is identity claim. So I identify what kind of identity claims made by the participants from the interview. So there are many different ways. There are tacit identity claims, there are explicit identity claims. Okay. So results, actually this, in the result there is a story, there is a life history of each participant. And then regarding the critical events, this is the theme that appear from the findings. So there are critical events related to early teaching, critical events related to failure or success to secure a professional position, critical events related to family, personal crisis, critical event related to the education path, and then also critical event related to marriage, getting married. So these are the themes and the significance of the critical events. So the critical events are significant, especially for the narrators, as they are influencing the decision to choose a certain education path, influencing the decision to get into the professions, and more importantly, changing the concept of becoming teacher-educator. These are the significance of the critical event that identify from the 5 teachers. And these are the identity claims that are claimed by the participants. So the theme that appear in the identity claim for the 5 participants. There are, of course, there are many different identities. There are some similarities, some differences. Yeah. For example, related to the recruitment or entering the professions as a teacher, educator, or as an English teacher at university level. Yeah. Participant 1, Alifa Barata Charita, they claim they are victim of unfair recruitment system, with different reasons, of course. Alifa told that she was a victim of unfair recruitment because she was not the same, not from the same ethnic groups with most of the faculty that work in the university that she applied for. Barata also claimed that he also suffered a kind of unfair treatment since he was not Muslim. And then Charita claimed that he also suffered unfair system because of background education. So this is kind of similar, but other participants have different perception about that one. So this is the theme, identity claim related to subject matter English, related to pedagogy, and so on. They have different claims. And this is related to teaching and teacher professions. The echoing theme, repeating theme is that public school teacher, even English public school teachers, is not wanted actually by all the participants. They do not want to be public school teacher. They want to be professor at university level. They want to be instructor at university level. They do not want to be a public school teacher. Yeah, as a university professor or as a university instructor, they also have to claim their professional identity as researcher. And those are the, not all participants indicating their claim about this research, this professional identity related to research. and past professional identity. Yeah, that's that. So all in all, each participant had a unique professional identity formation, as each of them had unique history, rich with unique experiences, as well as a unique critical event. The professional identity they claim indicate the complexity of professional identity formation, shaped and reshaped in dialogue with various outside entities. Actually, if we take a look at the identity claim, certain participants actually always in dialogue with her background education, for example, because she was because her undergraduate, her college degree was not from English education. Other participant, the professional identity formation is marked by his dialogue with his background as a child from a poor family. That's a kind that mark their identity formation, because for example, Bharata, being from a poor family, being from a village, and now he has to teach in a big city with students from higher social classes. That's kind of dialogue with in claiming his professional identity formation. Okay, it seems like that the time is up. If you have questions, we can discuss more about things.